The film begins with a boy named Billy Norman. Billy was very upset with his life because it was ordinary and lacked action or any adventures. This made him just an average person like everyone else. However, he wished to be someone special, a superhero, or even a weirdo because he didn't like the daily routine that had nothing exciting or unusual about it. Billy's life was so ordinary that he even wished for others to bully and mock him. But even that didn't happen in his life. All he wanted was attention, whether it was love or hate, as long as he was important somehow. At that time, Billy was at his school, taking some photos required for paperwork and registration. He couldn't stand the photographer because he kept mispronouncing his name. After the photo session, the photographer called the next person in line, a girl named Amanda. As soon as Billy saw her, he became infatuated with her and longed for just one word from her, even if she were to insult him. Afterward, Billy talked about Amanda and said, "Even though she's in the same class as me, she never noticed me or paid any attention to me at all, as if I were invisible. But it's not just her. This happens with all the other students too. It's like I don't exist, and life is against me. I'd die for a bit of attention." Then Billy kept watching Amanda until she finished her photo session, admiring her beauty. Even the photographer kept taking her photos, saying, "The camera loves you, Amanda. Imagine how the students must feel." It felt like Amanda was a beauty queen. Then all the students gathered together for a group photo. Everyone was looking at the camera except for Billy, whose eyes were fixed only on Amanda, as if he were spellbound by her. Billy goes home and sits alone in his dark room, looking out the window at the garden. He thinks about his miserable life and Amanda, the blonde girl unlike anyone he's seen, even in an imaginary story. The next day, Billy was in class with the other students. There was a girl named Ida in the class who wasn't paying attention to the teacher. The teacher warned her to pay attention, or she would have to stand with her hands up for the rest of the day. After that, the teacher informs them that this week's assignment is to learn about an important figure in the country. She tells them that she will divide them into groups so they can exchange information with each other. But Ida responded, "There are no important figures in Meadowland." The teacher replied, "Your father is the chairman of Exoparm. You can talk about him, dear. And you can also do this assignment with your sister Amanda." Then the teacher asked them all to pair up and start the assignment as soon as possible. At that moment, Amanda looked behind her to find her partner and laughed in Billy's direction, saying, "Come here." Billy thought she was calling him and got excited, but before he could get up, he realized that Amanda was actually referring to the girl behind him. He sat back down, feeling shocked and emotionless, like a decorative object. Billy goes to sit in the school courtyard and hears two kids bullying another boy and taking his books. He throws the apple he has at them. The kids realize it was Billy who threw the apple and start chasing him to beat him up. But Billy runs and hides in the garden of a house along the way. While hiding in the garden, an ant crawls into Billy's pants, makes its way up to his neck, and bites him. After that, Billy loses consciousness and doesn't feel anything at all. At night, Billy wakes up and goes back home. His mother asks him, "Why are you late? Do you know what time it is?" He replied, "I was playing with my friend." She said, "Come on, let's eat." He responded, "No, I'm not hungry. I'm going to my room. I need to rest." Billy goes to his room and falls asleep, but he wakes up during the night without realizing it and eats all the sweets in the house, including candies, cakes, and pastries. He devours all the sweets like an ant, then goes back to sleep without feeling anything. When Billy wakes up, he sees himself in the mirror covered in chocolate and feels anxious. At that moment, the news announces that a flea epidemic has spread throughout Meadowland. Billy then grabs a carton of milk, but when he lets go, it sticks to his hand and he can't remove it. He asks his father for help, who manages to take it from him. Next, he picks up a glass of juice, but it breaks in his hand. His parents are shocked by what happened. Then Billy goes to school and knocks on his friend Wilhelm's door. When he opens the classroom door, it comes off its hinges and breaks in his hand. Wilhelm is stunned and amazed by the incident. They go to the gym, where the teacher is showing them how to fence and defend themselves. Throughout the lesson, Wilhelm focuses on Billy, feeling that something strange is happening. Then the teacher says, "No one has ever defeated me in this game since my time in the army until today," and chooses Billy to spar with him. At first, Billy is scared, and the teacher keeps hitting him from left and right. But when Billy gets up from the ground and sees Amanda focusing on him, he decides to teach the teacher a lesson, starting from scratch. Billy gets up, focuses, and manages to land a hit that throws the teacher across the gym. At that moment, Billy runs away and escapes from the gym, leaving his classmates in disbelief that this is the same Billy they always treated as a nobody. After school, Billy is walking down the street when his friend Wilhelm approaches him and asks, "How did you manage to hit the teacher with such force? Did lightning strike you? Are you a superhero or something else?" Billy replied, "No, I'm just insignificant and useless." Wilhelm responded, "Are you sure you weren't bitten by a spider or exposed to radiation? You must be a superhero. There's no one like you right now. If you try climbing a wall, you might find yourself walking on it or even flying." Billy then focuses on a strange man who was near the tree and tries to remember if the man was close when the ant bit him. Wilhelm then gives him a magazine to show that what he's doing is something superhuman and suggests that something must have bitten or stung him to give him these powers. Later, the man Billy saw is sitting in his home reading a newspaper with the latest statements from the CEO of Exoparm about the flea epidemic. The man says to himself, "I'll kill you with a flea in your ear." Later, Billy is in his room, lying, and looking at a picture of Amanda. He takes out the magazine Wilhelm gave him and imagines himself as a superhero. He grabs the stuffed bear in his room and starts fighting with it. When he tries to throw it, he finds that his hand has pierced through the bear, the wall, and out of his room, causing damage to the room while his mother is outside cleaning the hallway with a vacuum. The next day, Billy goes to Wilhelm and tells him, "It was an ant that bit me." Wilhelm is thrilled and amazed as he now believes Billy is a superhero. That's because Wilhelm is obsessed with superheroes and reads every book about them. From that moment on, Wilhelm decides to support and help Billy in everything. Then Wilhelm takes Billy to his house, and they search online to find out what special abilities ants have in order to understand and manage Billy's newfound superpowers. Among the traits of ants they discover is their very strong bite. Wilhelm gives Billy a book to bite and test his strength. Billy finds that his bite is so powerful it destroys the book. Next, they test another ant ability, the sense of smell. They conduct an experiment and Billy finds that his sense of smell has become much stronger. Wilhelm is excited by the idea and asks Billy to try flying. Billy tells him that ants don't fly. Wilhelm insists, thinking he might see Billy fly, but when Billy jumps out of the window, he lands face first because, of course, ants cannot fly. Then they start sewing clothes together to find the right outfit for Billy based on his superpowers. Later, Billy goes to the bathroom and discovers that his urine has completely destroyed his. When they research ants, they find out that ants produce formic acid, which helps them defend themselves against enemies. Then Wilhelm manages to create a suitable outfit for Billy, which is black, just like an ant. Billy is thrilled and excited about the idea. Next, they go to a supermarket together and stand aside, waiting for a theft to occur so Billy can intervene and stop the thieves. While they're waiting, they discuss potential names for Billy, and he decides to call himself the Ant Boy. Then Wilhelm goes to buy something from the market, and Billy spots a thief stealing a bag from a woman who is carrying her groceries in the car. Billy attacks the thief and grabs the bag. He runs after the thief, but the thief underestimates Billy, seeing him as a weak kid. Billy tries to convince the thief to return the bag without causing any trouble, but the thief starts to attack him. At that moment, Billy is scared, since it's the first time he's faced such a situation. He backs away and discovers he can walk on walls. He climbs up onto the wall, causing the thief to become frightened and retreat. Billy then quickly jumps on the thief, restrains him, and calls 911, who come and arrest the thief. When Wilhelm returns, he is very pleased and impressed by what Billy did, saving the woman and retrieving her belongings from the thief. Billy tells Wilhelm, "I can walk on walls and I discovered this while grabbing the thief." However, when Billy tries to climb the wall in front of Wilhelm, he finds that he can't do it. Wilhelm figures out the problem after doing some research online and learns that Billy needs to eat sweets constantly to maintain his strength and energy. He makes Billy a belt filled with candies to ensure his energy never runs out. Wilhelm also gives Billy a headset so they can communicate during crises and problems. Billy then manages to prevent all the accidents happening in the city and saves people, like he did with the child before. He becomes well known throughout the city, and the media covers his superhero abilities extensively. They even make small action figures of him for children, who see him as a role model and dream of being like him. At that time, Amanda learns about the Ant Boy and decides to make her project about him. They even produce plays featuring him, and everyone is impressed by his superhero persona. Billy is very pleased with all the attention and admiration. At the same time, Wilhelm is troubled by Billy's behavior and self-admiration. He believes that a true superhero should focus solely on saving people and not be concerned with public admiration or attention. While Amanda is in her room working on the project about the Ant Boy, a man named the Flea Man appears behind her. He manages to kidnap Amanda and escape. When Ida hears the scream and runs to help, she is too late, and the Flea Man takes Amanda away. The next day at school, the teacher informs the students that Amanda and Ida won't be coming because they are sick. Billy is very upset and distressed because he won't be able to see Amanda that day. During the break, they hear a scream and look up to see a boy hanging from the top floor of the building. Billy transforms into the Ant Boy, puts on his costume, and quickly climbs up to rescue the boy. However, upon reaching the top, he discovers that the boy is actually a dummy. It turns out that Ida set this up to lure the Ant Boy into rescuing her sister Amanda, who has been kidnapped by the Flea Man. The kidnapper is demanding a ransom of $20 million and also wants her father to resign from his position at the company. Billy then brings Ida to Wilhelm's place, where he works with him. Wilhelm is very annoyed that Billy brought her to their space, as he believes that girls are careless and destroy everything, not realizing that they can be very kind. Then they play the video sent by Amanda's kidnapper. Wilhelm is frustrated as he doesn't want to help Amanda's father, whom he sees as a dangerous and evil man threatening their entire town. Then Billy smells Amanda's necklace and goes out into the street with Wilhelm and Ida, trying to locate Amanda by using his enhanced sense of smell. They then stop in front of Mr. Gumleckra's house when Billy detects a strong scent of Amanda coming from that direction. They suspect that this might be the location where Amanda is being held and that the kidnapper is there. However, Ida tells them, "By the way, that house belongs to a woman, not a man. Her name is Gumleckra, and she died a long time ago. Her body remained decaying in the house for a month. There have been many horror stories about this place, and people are afraid to even pass by it." Billy gathers his courage and tells them, "Wait here until I finish." He then approaches the house, uses his acid to destroy the lock, and enters the house with great caution. As soon as Billy enters, he finds the place filled with strange insects and sees Amanda trapped in a glass cage. Just then, communication with his friend Wilhelm is cut off. Before Billy can attempt to free Amanda, the flea man appears from behind and traps Billy in another glass cage next to Amanda's. The flea man then tells Billy that Amanda's father, Mr. Summer, is responsible for the death of his mother. While they were in the lab trying to find a cure for cancer, they tested it on Mrs. Gamlecra, and it showed results. However, Mr. Summer decided to halt the production of the treatment, which led to her death. Since then, the flea man has wanted to get rid of Summer. He also reveals that he took the flea serum and became the flea man, and the ant that bit Billy was the last genetically modified ant. He tells Billy that he's lucky to have been bitten by it. At that moment, Billy notices that the flea man has tubes connected to him to provide energy through blood. He realizes that this is the flea man's weakness. When Wilhelm discovers that communication with Billy has been cut off, he decides to call 911. The police arrive and raid the place, but the flea man quickly escapes before being caught. They manage to rescue Amanda and return her to her family. Billy returns home, feeling very sad and disappointed because he couldn't save Amanda himself, and the police were the ones who rescued her. The next day, the flea man attacks the school, and Wilhelm runs to call Billy to come and save them. Billy refuses to help, insisting that it's a matter for the police and he wants no part in it. However, Wilhelm decides to put on the Ant Boy costume, takes 2 bottles of insecticide, and goes to rescue the school from the flea man on his own. As Wilhelm is making his way, he finds a girl hiding under a desk, scared. He rescues her and helps her get to safety. When the girl reaches safety, she says that it was the boy ant who saved her. Billy, having heard the girl's comment, quickly heads upstairs to help Wilhelm. At that moment, the flea man appears in front of Wilhelm but notices Billy's presence. Realizing that the boy ant is not the real hero, he removes the mask from Wilhelm's face. At that moment, Billy's ant boy energy has run out. He starts searching for the candy belt to recharge, but he can't find it and doesn't have time to look. As he struggles, the flea man attacks him and begins to fight. Billy notices a refrigerator full of soda and quickly drinks all of it to recharge his energy. Meanwhile, the flea man kidnaps Wilhelm and escapes with him away from the school. Billy starts to chase the flea man and uses his sense of smell to locate Wilhelm. He finds Wilhelm tied up in the forest, but the flea man has set a trap to capture Billy. As Billy approaches, he gets caught in the trap and begins to be attacked by the flea man. Billy decides to remove his mask and confront the flea man as his true self. The flea man tries to manipulate him, suggesting that with his powers he doesn't need friends or allies. He argues that Billy can do everything on his own and belittles Wilhelm, calling him weak and unnecessary. The flea man tries to persuade Billy to join him and become a team together. At that moment, Wilhelm sneaks up from behind and cuts the blood tubes that were feeding the flea man's energy. Without his energy source, the flea man becomes weak, allowing Billy to attack him and eventually destroy him. The police arrive just in time to arrest the flea man and take him into custody. Afterwards, Amanda's father, Mr. Summer, appears on television in a press conference and thanks Billy for his bravery and heroism. He confirms that, thanks to Billy's efforts, the city will be able to live in peace without any problems or conflicts with pests like fleas. Then, the ant boy goes to Amanda's place. At that moment, Amanda, who has developed feelings for him, wants to kiss him. However, Billy makes it clear that he's only there to return her necklace and nothing more. This upsets Amanda greatly, and she retreats to her room, upset. At that moment, Ida arrives and reveals to the boy Ant that she knows he is Billy, their classmate. She asks if they can be friends, especially since she has no one else at school. Billy agrees to her request, and they become friends. Afterward, Billy says goodbye and leaves through the balcony just as he came. The next day, Wilhelm meets Billy and tells him that he will keep helping him as every superhero has a sidekick. From then on, Billy resumes defending the city, now with his new team consisting of Wilhelm and Ida, and that's how the movie ends.